see, Chief Schmidt, do you have any comments you'd like to make to the group?
Not today.
Okay, thank you for coming.
April Fools, let's go.
Now, see if Brian had been the one to say that. Oh, and just so everybody knows, Captain Stutzman did get reassigned. No, you didn't
Tell
know?
me about that.
No, that's not an April Fool's joke. Captain Stutzman, although he's not here today because he had knee replacement surgery, his supervisor told us at the open house that he was reassigned and will have a new captain of the 3rd District, and his name is Tim Palmer. So he'll be coming on board shortly for the 3rd District. All yours.
Bummer.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard about that. I just talked to Captain Stutzman yesterday, actually, asked him how his knee was, so I'll have to maybe go and have a pint of beer or something with him on that one. So, good morning, Commander, members of the board, and an audience. I appreciate you listening to me rant again. Talk about adult protective services. Obviously, we see this time and time again, and we do engage these services sometimes directly ourselves as reporters. A lot of times we work with social workers at the Basel Hospital to engage adult protective services. But I can tell you our most challenging thing that we get a lot of questions about in the field, especially with power of attorney or medical power of attorney, like they mentioned, there's 2 separate attorneys, one that handles medical stuff, one that handles financial stuff. But we'll get calls sometimes saying, well, I want my mom to go to the hospital, or I want my dad to go to the hospital. And it's like, well, if we get there and they're alert and oriented ×4, which means they know person, place, time, and event, we can't take them. We can't force them to go. We can't force them to do anything because they are alert. So the only time medical power of attorney kicks in is if one of those 3 things or 4 things that are not alert and oriented ×4 is a part of it. Otherwise, we can't force somebody to go with the state law of Arizona. So that becomes a big challenge because folks are saying, well, no, my neighbor needs to go. And I'm like, well, do you have power of attorney? And if they're alert and oriented ×4, it doesn't matter anyway. So. But that becomes a challenge for us in the field. And I was going to talk about Captain Stutzman as well. I did talk to him. He said he's doing much better on this knee replacement a week out than last knee replacement he did last year, but he's still in quite a bit of pain, and he's a big guy, so he's put a lot of effort on those knees over the years. I joke with him all the time. Any questions for the fire department at all before I get into budget and some numbers? So we are working through our annual budget. Actually, this afternoon, we should have that mostly finalized. We will be bringing that to our board meeting the 4th Tuesday of this month. So that would be the 22nd at 9:30 for introduction of that budget. What that's going to look like this coming year. In May, that 4th meeting, or that 4th Tuesday, that meeting in May will be for tentative adoption, and they'll final adopt in June. That's our process for effective July 1. Just to talk about numbers, responses, I just hot off the press, just got them this morning. For March of 2025, Battalion 131 ran 27 calls. They don't get a lot of calls. Again, that's our command vehicle. They only go on larger incidents, but they're the ones that are there day to day to manage the whole shift, all the crews. But these numbers, we beat 300 on all of our trucks this month, which I don't think I've seen that in a while. So Engine 131 ran 303 calls, Engine 132 ran 304, Engine 133 ran 384, and then that ladder and LT ran 376. So this is our push, looking for some financial changes. We need to do something about these numbers because I have folks that are just ready to go work anywhere else but here because of this. We are the busiest fire department per truck company in the state of Arizona, and this isn't safe for our folks. It's not safe for you guys. Fortunately, we're part of an automatic aid system that allows other vehicles and trucks to come in from our municipalities around us. But we need to be holding our own as well. So that's a lot of this push for this non-transport medical fee, and then a push to educate all of the folks here in Sun City to hopefully push legislation to make some changes for our financial, the way we get paid. So the money that we can bring in, the revenue we can bring in. With that, the board did, our last meeting last week, our board did approve public relations firm High Ground. They helped us with our bond campaign several years ago. They're going to be helping with our messaging. So we're not only going to message about this fee and what that's all entails, but also a lot of education that we're going to be working with a group called, I can't remember the name of the group off the top of my head. Right Care organization. They've also called themselves Home Safe Home, and they were doing some stuff through Scottsdale. I'm trying to get a hold of Sun Health Foundations. I know they do a lot of education, and I've left some messages with John LaRue over there, Joe LaRue, who's the president. But we want to educate all of our folks too of how to stop these falls, from happening as well as we're going to have an educational piece on how we're funded, our history, why we're funded the way we are, and then about our, talk about the nonprofits. And as the nonprofits grow, we see in Sun City, Royal Oaks, Banner, Boswell, when they buy up buildings every time, or even the rec centers, when they buy up buildings or take over a building, all of a sudden we lose tax dollars on those. I don't know if people understand that, but none of those entities paid a dime of tax to us or to the county. So when Royal Oaks buys up all the Santa Fe stuff along the way, all those buildings come off our tax rolls. The building on the corner of 111th and Santa Fe, that Hearthstone, it's been vacant for a while. They pay $23,000 to us annually, just the fire department. If a nonprofit went in and bought that, we lose $23,000 annually just on that one building alone. So it hurts, and people I don't think understand that, and we're going to be doing a lot of education through this public relations firm so that you guys know why we're doing what we're doing. And I encourage all of you, I never see any of your faces, I encourage all of you to come to our board meeting and hear this firsthand. So every fourth Tuesday at 9:30. So any questions for the fire department? Yes, sir.
Can you explain to people why trucks are sent on medical calls?
Yeah, so, it's a very aggressive approach. It's what's been adopted out here in the valley and a lot of the West Coast departments. But obviously when you call 911 and say you just need a lift assist, why is a big, truck company coming or company coming with 4-person staffing? And the largest reason is we never know what we're gonna get. We never know what we're gonna come along. And do you want 2 people to show up in an ambulance that have limited resources that may or may not be able to lift you up for 1, or 2, that you're having a heart attack and we have to go to work? So then there's a delayed response. And now calling that engine to come out, because when we are working somebody with a heart attack, a stroke, somebody that's passed, just recently passed, and we have to go to work, we have somebody that's doing intubation, somebody that's starting an IV, somebody that's gathering medications, somebody that's maybe packaging a patient, like a trauma. I stopped at a golf cart rollover at 107th and Del Webb yesterday, and it took for the crew 4 plus the ambulance plus us to package and get the patient properly cared for. So we are very aggressive out here. Not saying that we couldn't sometimes do certain calls with 2 folks, and that's exactly what the fire department's looking at doing. The system allows what they call low acuity units, and we identify those low acuity units. We can send somebody out with a 2-person staffing. But at this time, for what they call our insurance rating, we're at the bare minimum already with 3 engines and a ladder truck. So now I'm trying to add, when I'm looking at adding, I will add a low acuity unit if funding is there. Again, the same thing though, if we go out that low acuity unit, we could be delaying some other more care that's needed if with only 2 people, or if 2 people can't, lift Mr. and Mrs. Smith up. I mean, I've even been on calls with Mr. and Mrs. Smith that's been 600 pounds, and we've had to call a second engine company because it took 8 of us to lift Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So that is why we do what we do. Sometimes it's a little aggressive. I understand that, and I understand those concerns, but time does matter on a lot of things, and that's why we're aggressive here in the system, and that's what's been adopted valley-wide, and actually quite a few larger areas around the United States. Not everybody does that. I understand in rural Minnesota, when some of you folks may be from those rural areas, you're like, well, hey, the ambulance came just from the hospital and was able to take care of it. But again, it's time, it's money, it's all those things of what's adopted and allowed in that, or what's needed in that community, or designed for that community. So, any questions more? Yes?
One thing, if you talk about time, the lock boxes, the key boxes that are on people's homes, that also tells you time is really important.
That is correct, yep.
So
the lockbox program, I know there was a huge audit we did on this a couple of years ago with one of our volunteers, and they still found out it seems like we're putting in lockboxes every single day, but only 25% of our residents have these now. Obviously, we will not make entry using that lockbox unless we can hear or know that there's a known contact inside the home. If we have to get in the home, we'll get in the home, but it will slow us down a little bit if we have to take a door or something like that. Yeah, the lockbox program does help expedite some of that stuff. Unfortunately, our current provider of those lockboxes is on a back order, and so we're log jammed up. We're actually out of lockboxes for the first time, and I've ever heard in my career. But we're waiting those, and we're putting people in a queue that are requesting those boxes. So
They're all gone now?
that's what I was told. I did move the ones that you spray painted just the other day. Yeah, you were outside spray painting on our grill, and the staff actually.
No. I put them up there to dry.
Oh, okay. I took the grill and actually cleaned it and used it yesterday. I grilled for Lisa and crew and admin. They wanted me to grill them some chicken. So yeah, okay. Thanks for looking out for me. So. Yes, sir.
Over the last, actually 2 weeks, I've had several people ask, how much will it cost if you come out, do a lift assist, for example, and don't go to the hospital? What's the bottom line, at least tentatively, what you're thinking?
Yeah, so Department of Health Services has a fee called a treat and refer fee if you have a treat and refer program. And that fee was $215.80, and many, well, not many, but a few years back, we have adopted a fee of $100 higher than that for $315.80, and that was specifically designed for folks that we were pushing medications to and not transporting them. So that would be folks like if they were overdosed, took too many pain meds on accident, whatever, we were pushing a Narcan, and they wake up and they're like, oh man, I didn't want to do that, and we left them at home. And the biggest part we see is with dextrose. These folks that get their blood sugar, they forget to eat, they take their diabetic medication, their sugar gets low, they go into diabetic coma. We go out there, we start an IV, we push sugar, this is basically sugar water, they get special, dextrose. They wake up and they're like, oh, I forgot to eat, didn't I, And so, but we have all those expenses in the medication and the IV and all that equipment that we've used, and then they don't want to go to the hospital. Before, that was never a billable call, so that was the fee that we adopted years ago, and we just are moving that same fee across for this non-medical transport fee of $315.80. Last week, San Jose, and I know we're not California, but just so you know, in reference to this fee as well, San Jose adopted a fee very similar. Actually, their fee is $427, and they were number 23 in the state of California to adopt a fee. So we're starting to see this happening, where they're kind of targeting, I hate to say targeting, but targeting users of the services to pay for these fees versus just blanketing everybody's tax dollars to go higher. So, anyway, go ahead, sir. Yes.
Are you saying though, a simple lift assist without medication, IV?
Correct.
How much will that?
$315.80. Yep. All encompassing. Yep. So we're going to do more than just a simple lift assist if you allow us to, because a lot of times what we're finding, and that's going to be some of this education piece, is there's a reason why you're falling. As stubborn as we get, we don't want to go to the hospital, we don't like the food at Boswell, it's cold, the blankets suck, whatever it is, that we have and we don't want to go to the hospital. There's underlying conditions that are causing you to fall, and a lot of times we're not looking at those, and you're not allowing us to evaluate. You're like, get out of my house, it's 2 a.m, I don't want 4 people standing over me, like, just leave. But we really need to take the time and slow down and let us take your blood pressure and let us check out your vitals and see if there's some underlying things going on, because more times than not, we find folks with low heart rates or very bad blood pressure, other things that are causing these symptoms to happen. Perfect example, I got one right here in the audience. I know she's told me her story. Her husband was having issues, and we finally were the ones that with the EKG was that caught his irregular heart rhythm and got him a pacemaker, for God's sake. So probably saved his life. So again, let us check you out, and that's what we're there for. So don't just say, get out of my house, pick me up, put me back in bed, or get me a cold glass of milk out of the fridge and put me back in bed. So, anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Does the insurance pay for the $300 and some fee?
So what we're finding out is, no, Medicare will not pay this, but Medicaid will. So if you're on Medicaid, and we're gonna have some educational pieces about that as well, what qualifies folks for Medicaid, and actually Medicaid will pay a much higher rate. And so we'll absolutely try to always bill the insurance and not you for these fees. Perfect example, if there's a car accident, car insurance will pay this non-medical or non-transport medical fee. They'll pay these fees. And Medicaid will. And Medicaid will pay 68% of our base rate. Our base rate of which is a DHS allowable rate of what is $1,200. So they'll pay us roughly $800 for what they call a fall injury. It's not a lift assist, but they'll say it's a fall injury call that we go out on, and we leave you at home. And we have about 8% of our residents that are on Medicaid that we see here in our community. So those folks, and Medicaid will pay for 3 a month. The folks that are the most needed, that don't that need it the most, or that don't have the means to pay these fees, if you're on Medicaid, I mean that's $2,400 revenue to the department if we're going out there 3 times a month. So versus the $315 to $80, so they'll pay a much higher rate. So again, we'll have some educational pieces on there. If folks are in a bad way and they can qualify for Medicaid, then you can avoid some of these charges. And if we transport you, the fee won't come into play either. So that's only the non-transport calls. So anybody else? Take a look after one another. It's going to get warmer. I know it's cooling down today, but it's a joke. Arizona's playing a joke on us right now. So it's coming. The heat's coming again. So look after, drink lots of water, hydrate, and then take care of one another. And like the APS folks stayed back there, not the power company, but the protective services company. If you see something, say something. Look after one another. Hoarding's not a crime, as much as we don't like when we see these hoarding houses. It's not a crime, but find out what's going on, if there's a change in things, and we can help each other out. So thank you very much.